My guest today is Robyn Claydon. She's a teacher, preacher, evangelist, writer of 2 books and a long-time member of the Lausanne movement, where she's held many senior positions for many years. Welcome, Robyn, to the show.
Thank you, Keith.
Robyn, let me ask that first question. What is the Lausanne movement in a nutshell?
Well, the Lausanne movement started in Lausanne, but it became much more than just a place. And since 1974, when we met together to look at the whole world, Billy Graham brought a lot of people together who were very keen to take the gospel to their country. Billy Graham was very keen to take the gospel to the whole world. And so what he did, of course, in 1974 was to call together a couple of thousand leaders that he'd met around the world. And he said, OK, you're doing that in your country, but there's the whole world, let's work together. And he didn't start the Lausanne movement, but it started in Lausanne.
How did you get involved?
Well, it's really interesting how I got involved, because it was not my intention to get involved at all. I was a school teacher. And one day I got a phone call in my office at school, and the phone call said, Robyn, we're starting a big conference for Lausanne in 1989 in Manila. We're forming a committee which is going to work internationally for the next 5 years. There are 10 people on the committee. Would you be one of them? That came out of the blue. I hadn't even thought about it. And I believed eventually that it came from Dr. Leighton Ford, who had met me in Sydney. And so I said yes, but I said to them, look, I'm a school teacher. I can't go all around the world whenever you need me. And so they said, we'll have it in your school holidays. So I became part of a committee, and we put on this great conference.
And why did it resonate with you?
Oh, it resonated with me because from a very early age, when I was a little girl, I knew and loved Jesus. And I knew from my parents that I was called, as a Christian, to share my faith with other people. And I'd been doing it at school, I've been doing it at church, I've been doing it in a variety of ways. And if somebody said to me, Robyn, there's an opportunity for the gospel to be taken to the whole world, would you like to be part of it? Well, I said yes. And I wasn't sure how that was going to work.
Of course, David was involved in this and lots of men. How important was it for you as a woman to be involved in evangelism?
Well, it was very important for me to be a woman in evangelism. First of all, I don't think there's a great deal of difference between men and women in evangelism. I just think that a lot of women don't get the chance to be involved in evangelism. They don't get the chance to preach or to teach or to lead. I think that's improving in some parts of the world. But when I had an opportunity to start something which was to encourage women and to find women leaders around the world, I was ready to jump at it eventually, and I had to leave teaching to do that.
But if I might say, you were given the opportunity, weren't you, to mentor a lot of women down the years, which is something that, although a man could be involved in that, it really takes women to be involved in that at the deep
I think
level.
it does. I think a woman can understand a woman and where she's coming from in perhaps a better way. And my particular interest when I took up this role was I became the Senior Associate for Women in World Evangelisation. And my role was to find Christian women throughout the world who were being held back for one reason or another. It might have been by the church, it might have been by society, it might have been by politics. And I met so many amazing, wonderful women. And I said to them, what is your dream? Where do you want to go? What do you want to be? How can we help you? And as I look back on the stories of some of those women, where one was a typist, and she's now the canon of Dodoma Cathedral, and she's the principal of the Theological College.
And some of this was in poverty as well, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
In places where very little by way of material help.
That's right. I spent a lot of time in Russia and in various parts of Yugoslavia, and they had so little. But they knew the Lord, and they wanted to do something for the Lord. And so I mentored them and introduced them to other women in other parts of the world who might be able to help them.
And we shared a little earlier, 1989, I was in Manila in the Philippines, and I remember that wonderful moment when the people from Russia arrived, and these were very challenging days for people behind the Iron Curtain. And that was a most amazing moment, wasn't it?
That was something I will never forget, and I'm sure David, my husband, will never forget it either, to be part of that. Do you remember that they were a week late because they were stopped by the authorities?
We were praying for them, weren't we?
We were praying for them.
During the thing.
The Russian authorities wouldn't let them out, but they came and they were late. And we were told to turn around. The Russians have arrived. Yes. And we all turned around and they were brought up to the top of the gallery. There were 70 of them.
Smartest looking people in the hall.
Because they all had suits and ties. That's right.
Yeah.
And so we we wept, and they wept. But you know, soon after that, when I was asked to take up this role with Lausanne, I remember Leighton Ford saying to me, "There's the world, Robyn, go wherever you like. Where will you go?" And I said, "I'll go to Russia," because there were no women. It was 70 men. 70 men who loved the Lord and were trying to take the gospel. But I thought, where are the women? I went to Russia first in 1990, and I met amazing women leaders who are now involved in all sorts of ministries.
Robyn, one final question before we finish. If someone's listening to our conversation today and they're thinking of stepping out of their comfort zone, which is what I think you had to do, to step out of that, to develop a ministry, what advice would you give them?
Well, I would say don't hesitate for a moment. But even though you might feel very overwhelmed, remember that you walk with Jesus. Jesus will go with you. You won't be alone. You'll be never alone. And you've got the most wonderful treasure, which has changed your life. Surely you want to share that with other people. So step out in faith.
And you've certainly done that, Robyn. And may God bless you and as you continue to seek to serve him in so many ways.